I'm Angie Jerbeck. I'm the Executive Director of the Bar Center. I launched, first of all, the bar model about 20 years ago, and then the Bar Center has been an outgrowth of that. So the bar model, BAR stands for Building Assets, Reducing Risks, I developed in 1998 based off of need. So I was a high school counselor after working in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and after 5 years, half of the students failed a course. Was not feeling particularly successful, so I went to the principal at the time to tenure my resignation. And he said, this isn't you, it isn't our school, this is a national problem. About half the ninth graders fail a course. So he said, if you've got a better way to do things, come back to me and let's keep talking. So BAR was started in 1999, so it's a model of coaching and training. Failure rate got cut in half in the first year, as well as over the next decade, we had an exponential number of students taking honors courses, as well as in particular our students farthest from opportunity, Black, Latinx, and low income, were really excelling. And so that was the beginning of BAR. And so we're in 200 schools right now in 22 states. And about 3-4 years ago, I realized we need to have a center to be able to continue this work. We work with a number of partners. So now we have about 66 people that are working on BAR as we are continuing to scale. And that's my current venture. People often ask, how many schools should be doing BAR? And I'm like, well, at this point, the research says all of them. Staff are thriving, students are thriving, and when your foundation is relationships and data, it shouldn't run counter to anything that we're doing with schools. Key pieces of my experience at St. Ben's and St. John's actually really show up in the work that I'm both leading and doing. So one of the key pieces is I believe that there were individuals who really consistently saw me as a whole person. So one of the gifts I think I received in terms of being a liberal arts student is I had a lot of majors. So I started off with pre-med and I loved the hard sciences. And I did well at them academically, but wasn't necessarily feeling like maybe I wanted to do this for the rest of my career. So then I was a business major for a while, and so took some business classes. And I had always taken music classes all along and was very involved in music, and realized I could have a music major as well as pick up an education degree. So being able to explore that many majors and work with that many departments not only fostered, I think, the innovation I do now, because the work we do is a lot of research, and I believe the grounding I've had with hard sciences and research, as well as now I'm running a large business and having that background. But the music piece in particular, really the ability to innovate and be creative and continue to think out of the box, all of those things occurred in my time at St. Ben's, and those same lessons, not only am I using in the business, but in the model itself. So I'm really encouraging the adults to be looking for who is that whole person, what's making them thrive, and how do we really foster that. Some key Benedictine values, one was listening. The work that I do is really trying to listen to, when I was a counselor, listening to hear who the whole student was and being able to communicate that. Right now we're training others to really be able to listen. The other piece is, the social justice commitment, and really, we have a deep commitment to equity and how we can continue to reach the students who are farthest from opportunity, to remove those barriers, to really be able to see them. And I think probably the third Benedictine value is the idea of living in community, and that you really see yourself and in relationship, that it isn't alone. In terms of an aspiring entrepreneur, I think there's two things. One, be willing to test. So you really need to take the time before you're scaling and before you're communicating that what you're doing is really working. The other piece is surround yourself with many voices. Do not surround yourself with everyone who says this is going fantastic, so you can hear what concerns people are expressed and be able to mitigate them. I think to be able to really kind of embody spirit, especially entrepreneurial spirit, I think there's a couple things. One, you have to have a strong belief that what you're doing is really going to make a difference. I think the other key piece is you need to have a willingness to test that. I think there's a lot of people who innovate and come up with ideas but aren't willing to actually rigorously test it to say, is this doing what I think it can do? And then I think the other kind of key piece about spirit is really continuing to find others that have, similar beliefs or different beliefs, but be able to do this in community. I think that's a really key piece when you're going to be making large moves.